The unbreakable shield. The SSV Nemesis drifted silently through the void, its obsidian hull absorbing, rather than reflecting the distant starlight. At 700 meters from bow to stern, the warship wasn't the largest vessel humanity had ever constructed, but it was unquestionably the most advanced. Deep within its armored heart, Captain Alina Reyes stood at the center of the command bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the tactical display that dominated the forward wall. "Status report," she said, her voice carrying the calm authority that had earned her command of humanity's most sophisticated warship. Commander Jackson Chen, her XO, looked up from his station. "All systems nominal, Captain. The new shield harmonics are fully integrated. Engineering reports the quantum core is stable at 93% efficiency." Reyes nodded. The Nemesis represented humanity's greatest achievement in military technology, born of necessity rather than choice. Earth had learned the hard way that the galaxy wasn't empty when the first alien probes appeared at the edge of the solar system 3 years ago. The subsequent diplomatic attempts ended with the obliteration of the Mars colony. Humanity's response was the Nemesis. "Captain," Lieutenant Amara Okafor called from the sensor station, her voice tense. "Multiple objects entering the system. Energy signatures don't match anything in our database." "Proximity?" Reyes asked. "Approximately 27 million kilometers and closing fast. Sir, I'm detecting at least 16 large vessels and numerous smaller craft." Reyes felt the familiar weight of command settle onto her shoulders. They had expected first contact again eventually, had prepared for it. But not here, not now, in the recently established Arcturus outpost with the Nemesis as the only military vessel within 3 light years. "Sound general quarters. Bring all systems to combat readiness." The bridge transformed in seconds, bathed in the red glow of combat lighting, as crew members moved with practiced precision to their battle stations. The Nemesis had never been tested in actual combat, only in simulations against theoretical alien technologies. Today, those theories would face reality. "Incoming transmission," Communications Officer Pavel Volkov announced. "It's broadcasting on all frequencies." "On screen," Reyes ordered. The tactical display flickered, revealing a humanoid figure with gray-blue skin and a prominent ridge of bone extending from forehead to the back of its skull. When it spoke, the translation software struggled momentarily before rendering its words. "Attention, human vessel. This is High Commander Krell of the Dravik Imperium. Your presence in claimed territory constitutes an act of aggression. Surrender your vessel immediately or face annihilation." Reyes straightened her uniform and stepped forward. "This is Captain Alina Reyes of the Earth Alliance vessel Nemesis. We claim no knowledge of your territorial boundaries as no such information has been shared with our species. We are willing to discuss diplomatic." "There is nothing to discuss," the alien interrupted. "The weak exist to serve the strong. Your species has already demonstrated its inferiority. You have 1 planetary rotation to surrender or be destroyed." The transmission cut abruptly, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Chief Tactical Officer Marcus Wong broke the quiet. 16 capital ships, Captain. Based on their energy output, each one outguns us at least 3-1. Plus over 40 smaller vessels that still match our Corvette-class ships in firepower. "And they expect us to surrender," Reyes said, a thin smile forming on her lips. "Inform the colony to initiate emergency protocols. All non-essential personnel to shelters. Deploy our autonomous defense satellites and have them maintain position around the colony." "And us, Captain?" Commander Chen asked. "We're going to buy them time," Reyes replied. The Nemesis was built for exactly this scenario. Over the next several hours, the Dravik fleet advanced methodically toward the human colony. The Nemesis positioned itself in a high orbit, its advanced sensors providing detailed scans of the approaching enemy vessels. In the ship's CIC, Dr. Eliza Bennett, lead designer of the Nemesis's defensive systems, worked feverishly with her team. "We're getting excellent data on their weapons systems," she reported to Captain Reyes. The adaptive algorithms are already formulating countermeasures. The Nemesis represented the pinnacle of human ingenuity, a vessel designed not only to fight but to learn. Its quantum computing core continuously analyzed enemy capabilities and adjusted its own systems in response. The ship's most revolutionary feature was its adaptive defense system, a shield that could reconfigure its energy frequency to counter specific weapons after just a few hits. "They're launching fighters," Lieutenant Okafor announced. 30. No, 45 craft on intercept trajectories. "Deploy countermeasures," Rise ordered. "Let's see what they've got." The Nemesis released a cloud of autonomous drones, each the size of a small car. The drones formed a defensive screen around the larger ship as the alien fighters approached. The first volley of enemy fire tore through several drones, but the data was instantly transmitted back to the Nemesis's core. "Energy weapons," Wong reported. "Some kind of modulated plasma. More powerful than our own, but the frequency is surprisingly narrowband." Dr. Bennett's voice came through the comm. "That's good news, Captain. Narrowband means our shields can adapt more quickly." The alien fighters streaked past, their weapons blazing against the Nemesis's shields. The barrier flickered violently, sections failing under the onslaught. "Shield efficiency at 62%, Chen reported. "Multiple hull breaches on decks 3 and 4. Automated systems are containing the damage." Reyes gripped the arms of her command chair. "Return fire. All port batteries." The Nemesis's weapon ports opened along its side, unleashing a barrage of high-energy particles. Several enemy fighters disintegrated instantly, while others spun away with significant damage. "The main fleet is accelerating," Okafor warned. "They'll be in weapons range in 3 minutes. Begin evasive pattern Delta," Rise ordered, "and give me ship-wide." When the comm channel opened, Rise addressed her crew. "This is your captain speaking. We face overwhelming odds against an enemy determined to destroy not just us, but all of humanity. The Nemesis was built for this moment, to stand against the impossible. Every second we survive, our ship learns. Every hit we take makes us stronger. We are humanity's shield, and we will not break." As she finished, the first salvos from the Dravik capital ships reached them. The Nemesis shuddered violently as massive energy beams struck its shields. "Shield efficiency at 39%, Chen called out, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. "The adaptive systems are already beginning to compensate." Dr. Bennett's voice cut through the alarms. "Captain, the quantum core is processing their attack patterns. Each hit is giving us more data on their weapons technology." Reyes watched the tactical display as 3 massive Dravik vessels moved to surround the Nemesis. "All power to engines. Break their formation." The human warship surged forward with surprising speed for its size, its maneuvering thrusters firing in complex patterns that no human pilot could have calculated alone. The Nemesis's eye combat system, working in tandem with Lieutenant Commander Ria Patil at the helm, executed maneuvers that pushed the ship's structural integrity to its limits. As they passed between 2 enemy vessels, the Nemesis fired all batteries simultaneously. The Dravik shields flared brilliantly, but held. "Their shield technology is impressive," Wong observed, "but it's static. It doesn't adapt like ours." Another barrage hit the Nemesis, sending crew members flying across the bridge as inertial dampeners struggled to compensate. "Shield efficiency at 17%, Chen reported, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. "One more direct hit, and we're exposed." Reyes faced a critical decision. The Nemesis couldn't survive much longer under this assault, but retreat would leave the colony defenseless. Status of the adaptive algorithms. Dr. Bennett's voice was strained but excited. "We've mapped 84% of their weapons frequencies. If we can hold out for just a few more minutes, our shields will be able to repel most of their firepower." "Engineering, give me everything you've got to the shields," Reyes ordered. "Tactical, target their lead vessel's propulsion systems. We need to disrupt their coordination." The Nemesis turned to face the largest Dravik ship, its remaining weapons focusing on a single point. The enemy vessel's shields flickered and failed in one section, allowing the Nemesis particle beams to slice into its engine housing. Secondary explosions rippled along the alien ship's hull as it began to list to one side. But the victory was short-lived. The remaining Dravik ships concentrated their fire on the Nemesis, determined to destroy the troublesome human vessel. Shield failure imminent. Chen shouted over the cacophony of alarms. Then, something remarkable happened. As the enemy beams struck the Nemesis's shields, the barrier no longer flickered with the same intensity. The quantum core had completed its analysis, and the adaptive shields now shifted to precisely counter the Dravik weapons. Shield efficiency stabilizing at 22%, Chen reported, disbelief evident in his voice. They're having trouble hurting us now. On the tactical display, rays watched as the Dravik fleet's disciplined formation began to falter. Their concentrated fire was no longer having the expected effect, and confusion was setting in. They don't understand what's happening, Rise realized aloud. They've never encountered adaptive defense technology before. Through the viewports, she could see the massive Dravik vessels beginning to adjust their positions, attempting to find a new attack strategy. It was the opening they needed. All power to weapons, Rise commanded. Target their command ship. Let's show them what humanity can do. The Nemesis's weapons came alive once more, this time with devastating precision. The adaptive algorithms had not only analyzed the enemy's defensive systems, but had calculated their weaknesses. Each shot from the human vessel now struck with maximum effect, piercing shields that had previously seemed impenetrable. The Dravik command ship shields failed catastrophically under the assault. The Nemesis particle beams carved deep gouges into its hull, while precision missile strikes targeted critical systems identified by the ship's eye. As the command ship listed helplessly, its weapons offline and hull breached in multiple sections, the remaining Dravik vessels began to pull back, clearly reassessing their strategy. "They're retreating, Captain," Okafor announced, wonder in her voice. Rise allowed herself a small smile. Not retreating. Regrouping. They'll be back with a new approach. She turned to Commander Chen. Damage report. We're operational but badly damaged. Life support is stable, but propulsion is at 40% capacity. Weapon systems at 63%. The good news is our shields are now fully calibrated against their weapons. Reyes nodded. And the colony? Secure for now. The defensive satellites performed as expected. The bridge fell silent as the crew processed what they had just accomplished. A single human vessel had stood against an alien armada and survived. More than survived, they had forced the enemy to retreat, however temporarily. Captain Rice looked around at her crew, battered but unbowed. This was just the first round, she told them. But we've learned something vital about our enemy and about ourselves. The Nemesis isn't just a ship, it's humanity's answer to a hostile universe. And today, we proved that answer is enough. As repair drones swarmed across the Nemesis's hull, sealing breaches and restoring damaged systems, the Dravik fleet maintained its distance, no doubt planning their next assault. But for this moment, in this corner of space, humanity had done the impossible. The shield had held, the unstoppable spear. High Commander Krell paced the command deck of his new flagship, the previous one now a drifting wreck in orbit around the human colony. His gray-blue skin had taken on a purple tinge, a sign of extreme anger among the Dravik. Impossible, he hissed. One vessel, a single primitive human ship defied an Imperial battle group. His science officer, Vex, stood nearby, studying data from the battle. Their technology is unusual, High Commander. Their shields adapted to our weapons during combat, a capability we've never encountered before. Can we counter it? Krell demanded. Possibly, but it would require constant modulation of our weapons, and if their defensive systems adapt as quickly as they did in our first encounter. Vex left the implication hanging. Krell stared at the tactical display, showing the damaged but still functional human warship. No species defies the Dravik Imperium. Prepare all vessels for a coordinated assault. We will overwhelm their adaptive capabilities through sheer force. On board the Nemesis, the situation was equally tense, but marked by grim determination rather than rage. Captain Rice stood in engineering, surveying the damage alongside Chief Engineer Tariq Hassan. "We've sealed the hull breaches and restored primary systems," Hassan reported, gesturing to the massive quantum core that powered the ship. "But we took a beating, Captain. The structural integrity field generators are operating at 70% at best. Another battle like the last one." He shook his head. Rice placed a hand on the engineer's shoulder. "Then we'll have to make sure the next battle is different." "What's the status of the offensive systems Dr. Bennett was developing?" Hassan's expression shifted. "That's actually some good news. The combat data we collected has accelerated the development. Dr. Bennett believes the prototype is ready for field testing." "Then let's test it," Rice said, "because our friends out there are getting ready for round 2. In a specialized lab 2 decks below, Dr. Eliza Bennett stood before a holographic display showing the schematics of a new weapon system. Captain Rice entered, immediately noting the excitement in the scientist's eyes. "You've made progress," Rice observed. "More than progress," Bennett replied. "The quantum core processed the Dravik shield data and provided the solution we've been seeking. Their shields operate on a predictable frequency pattern, complex, but ultimately cyclic. With the data we gathered, we can now precisely time our attacks to exploit gaps in their shield cycles." Rice studied the display. "You're talking about a weapon that can penetrate their shields regardless of strength." "Exactly," Bennett confirmed. "We're calling it the quantum lance. It synchronizes our main particle beam with the exact frequency needed to slip between their shield harmonics. It won't disable their shields entirely, but it will allow us to deliver precisely targeted strikes to critical systems." "How soon can it be operational?" "It's being integrated into the forward weapon array now. 2 hours at most." Rice nodded. "Excellent work, Doctor. But I suspect we'll have less than 2 hours before the Dravik return." As if summoned by her words, the ship's alert system activated. Commander Chen's voice came through the comm. "Captain to the bridge. The Dravik fleet is on the move." When Rice returned to the bridge, the tactical display showed the alien vessels forming a new attack pattern, spread wider than before, clearly intending to attack from multiple vectors simultaneously. "They're trying to overwhelm our adaptive shields by hitting us with too many different attack angles at once," Wong observed. "A solid strategy," Rice acknowledged. "Status of the colony evacuation." "Proceeding as ordered," Chen reported. "The first transports are away, but it will take at least 6 more hours to evacuate all non-essential personnel." Rice studied the enemy formation thoughtfully. "They expect us to remain defensive, to protect the colony at all costs." A plan began to form in her mind. But what if we don't? Her senior officers looked at her questioningly. "The best defense is a good offense," Rice explained. "They're expecting us to hunker down and try to weather their assault. Instead, we're going to take the fight to them." She turned to Lieutenant Commander Patil at the helm. "Plot an intercept course for their new command ship. Maximum acceleration." Chen looked alarmed. "Captain, we're still heavily damaged. If we leave the colony unprotected, the defensive satellites will have to do their job." Rice cut in. "And we're not abandoning the colony. We're protecting it by forcing the enemy to deal with us instead." She addressed the weapons station. "Tactical. What's the status of Dr. Bennett's new system?" "Quantum lance integration at 63%, Captain," Wong replied. "Estimated completion in 47 minutes. We need it in 30, Rice stated flatly. "Make it happen." As the Nemesis broke orbit and accelerated toward the Dravik fleet, the alien vessels seemed momentarily confused by the aggressive human tactic. Their formation faltered, then began to regroup to meet the oncoming threat. "They're adjusting," Chen observed, "concentrating their forces to intercept us." "Good," Rice said. "That's fewer ships targeting the colony." "Tactical. Arm all conventional weapons and prepare to fire on my mark. Engineering. Divert auxiliary power to the forward shields. The distance between the human warship and the alien fleet closed rapidly. The Dravik, recovered from their initial surprise, launched the first volley, a barrage of energy weapons that streaked across space toward the Nemesis. Braced for impact, Rise ordered. The ship shuddered as the enemy fire struck, but the adaptive shields, now calibrated to the Dravik weapons, held more effectively than in the previous engagement. Shield efficiency holding at 61%, Chen reported. Their weapons aren't as effective this time. Return fire, all batteries, Rise commanded. The Nemesis unleashed its arsenal, targeting multiple enemy vessels simultaneously. The Dravik shields flared under the assault, but remained intact. Minimal damage to enemy vessels, Wang reported. Their shields are reinforced compared to our previous encounter. Rise had expected this. They're learning too. Status of the Quantum Lance. Final calibration in progress. Estimated completion in 7 minutes. 7 minutes they might not have. The Dravik fleet was now converging on the Nemesis from all sides, threatening to surround and overwhelm the solitary human vessel. Evasive pattern echo, Rise ordered. Keep us moving. Lieutenant Commander Patel's hands flew across the helm controls, guiding the massive warship through a series of maneuvers that would have been impossible without the assistance of the ship's eye. The Nemesis rolled and pivoted, presenting different shield facings to distribute the incoming damage while continuing its charge toward the Dravik command ship. Another series of hits rocked the vessel violently. Warning lights flashed across multiple stations. Shield efficiency down to 43%, Chen called out. Hull breach on Deck 12. Emergency bulkheads engage. Casualties? Rise asked, her voice steady despite the chaos. Medical reports 17 injured, 2 critical, Chen replied. Rise felt each casualty like a physical blow, but kept her focus on the battle. Tactical, target their forward battery clusters. Let's reduce their offensive capability. The Nemesis fired again, its remaining operational weapons concentrating on the vulnerable weapons emplacements of the nearest Dravik vessels. Several alien gun ports exploded, debris spraying into space. Captain, Wang called out, excitement evident in his voice. The Quantum Lance is online. Target the command ship's propulsion system, Rise ordered without hesitation. Fire when ready. The forward section of the Nemesis began to glow as energy gathered at the focal point of the new weapon. The brightness intensified until it was painful to look at directly, then discharged in a concentrated beam of blue-white light. The beam struck the Dravik command ship precisely where its main engines connected to the power core. Unlike conventional weapons fire, the Quantum Lance didn't flare against the alien shields. Instead, it passed through as if they weren't there, striking the hull directly. The effect was immediate and devastating. Secondary explosions cascaded along the enemy vessel's stern as critical systems failed catastrophically. Direct hit, Wang exclaimed. Their main propulsion is offline. Power fluctuations detected throughout their ship. On the view screen, the massive Dravik command vessel listed to one side, emergency thrusters firing sporadically in an attempt to stabilize its position. The bridge crew broke into spontaneous cheers, but Rise remained focused. Prepare for a second shot. Target their weapons control systems. Before the order could be carried out, the Nemesis lurched violently as multiple hits from the remaining Dravik vessels struck simultaneously. Shield failure in sections 3 through 7, Chen reported urgently. Direct hits to our port nacelle and secondary power distribution hub. Quantum Lance charging at 37%, Wang added. The power fluctuations are slowing the recharge rate. Rise made a split-second decision. Helm, put us between the damaged command ship and the rest of their fleet. Use their own flagship as cover. Patel executed the maneuver flawlessly, guiding the Nemesis into position where the disabled Dravik command ship shielded them from the worst of the enemy fire. Clever, Chen remarked. They won't risk destroying their own flagship. They might, Rise countered, but it will force them to be more precise. And precision takes time. She turned to communications. Volkov, open a channel to the Dravik command ship. The view screen shifted to show High Commander Krell, his normally blue-gray skin now almost purple with rage. Before he could speak, Rise addressed him directly. High Commander, your flagship is crippled, and we have demonstrated our ability to penetrate your shields at will. The next shot will target your life support systems, unless you order your fleet to stand down immediately. Krell's mandibles clicked in what humans had learned was a sign of agitation. You dare threaten me? The full might of the Dravik Imperium will descend upon your world for this insolence. Perhaps, Rise agreed calmly, but you won't be alive to see it. You have 30 seconds to order your fleet to withdraw to the system's edge. As the ultimatum hung in the air, the tactical display showed the remaining Dravik vessels maneuvering for clear shots at the Nemesis without endangering their command ship. Quantum Lance at 63% and rising, Wong reported quietly. Krell seemed to be calculating his options, his alien features difficult for humans to read. Finally, he spoke again. This battle is temporarily suspended. But know this, human. The Dravik do not forgive. And we do not forget. The transmission cut off abruptly. Moments later, the tactical display showed the Dravik fleet breaking off their attack and retreating to a safe distance. They're withdrawing, Captain, Okafor confirmed, maintaining position just beyond our weapon range. The bridge fell silent as the immediate danger passed. Captain Rise took a deep breath, feeling the accumulated tension of the battle begin to ebb. Damage report, she requested. Chen consulted his display. Hull breaches on 3 decks. Propulsion at 39%. Weapon systems vary between 40 and 70% operational. The Quantum Lance is fully functional but will require significant power to recharge between shots. 26 injured, 4 critical. No fatalities reported. Reyes nodded, grateful for the small mercy. Begin repairs immediately. Priority to propulsion and life support systems. She turned to Okafor. What's the status of the colony evacuation? Proceeding faster than expected, Captain. Estimated completion in 3 hours. Good. They'd bought themselves a reprieve, but I don't believe for a second that the Dravik are done with us. Rice studied the tactical display showing the alien fleet regrouping at the edge of the system. They'll report back to their high command. Next time, they'll come in force. Commander Chen approached her, keeping his voice low. The Nemesis wasn't designed to win wars, Captain, just to survive long enough for reinforcements to arrive. And that's exactly what we'll do, Rice replied. Earth needs to know what we're facing. She addressed communications. Volkov, prepare a detailed report of everything we've learned about the Dravik and their technology. Include all sensor data from both engagements. Load it into our fastest courier drone and launch as soon as it's ready. Aye, Captain. As the crew carried out their orders, Rice took a moment to gaze out at the stars. The Nemesis had performed beyond all expectations, but this was just the beginning of what promised to be a long conflict. The Dravik would return, likely with ships specifically designed to counter the human vessel's adaptive technology. But humanity would be ready. The data from today's battle would lead to new ships, new weapons, new defenses. The Nemesis might stand alone today, but it would not stand alone forever. In a galaxy filled with predatory species like the Dravik, humanity had proven itself something unique, an adversary that grew stronger with each attack, that learned and adapted faster than expected. The Nemesis wasn't just a warship, it was the embodiment of humanity's greatest strength, the ability to face overwhelming odds and find a way to survive, to fight back, to win. As repair drones swarmed across the battered hull of the Nemesis, the legend of the unstoppable human warship was already spreading. A single vessel had faced an alien armada and not only survived but forced them to retreat. It was a story that would echo across the stars, a warning to those who might threaten humanity, and a beacon of hope to those who called Earth home. The shield had held, and now the spear had struck.